Hello everyone. Welcome to another show of AWS Shebill's Tech Skills North America. I'm your host Jigna Gandhi. I'm a senior solution architect at AWS and I support fintech customers in Northeast region. Let me tell you a little bit about Shebill's programs if you are new to the channel. Uh, we started this mission to make the future of tech more diverse and close the cloud skills gap. We want to create opportunities for underrepresented groups who thrive in the industry and showcase female tech talent and the impacts they are making into the industry and this role. If you have missed any of our previous episodes, you can watch them in the YouTube channel that I'll be sharing in the comment. Today, we have a very special episode. As all of you know, that the technology is never constant. It's always changing. You have new skills, new things that are getting added, and it's always important to stay up to date into that. So today, we have three special guests who are going to be talking about how they, match the pace and stay up to date in this technology field. Let's start with a quick introduction. Archana, you want to go first?
Hey Jigna, thank you for having me today. Hi everyone, my name is Archana Ambavni and I'm a solutions architect at AWS based out of our New York office. So I've been with AWS for close to 2 years now. And as a solutions architect, my role is to help our customers build efficient cloud solutions and act as their trusted advisor to provide guidance and technical help. And in order to achieve this, I usually conduct architecture reviews, workshop, demos, and bring even other specialists from time to time. Prior to joining AWS, I have around 14 years of experience in system designing and application development. I have worked across multiple financial services, and I have a bachelor's in computer engineering and a master's in data science. So, after years of programming and system designing, I wanted to extend my knowledge and experience more into the architecting world, and thus this role kind of attracted me.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Deepti, you want to go next?
Sure. Thank you so much for this opportunity, and I'm super excited to be on the panel today and share some of my views as well. I'm Deepthi Venthirumilli. I'm a senior solutions architect, and I'm based in Phoenix, Arizona, and been with AWS for about 2.5 years now. Prior to joining AWS, I have had multiple roles, starting as a programmer and then getting into SQL side of things, being a SQL developer and then a data architect, and finally into application architecture. From the education background, I have a PhD in computer science, and yeah, I'm super glad to be here.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Malini, you want to go next?
Yeah, thanks, Jigna, for having me. Thank you, everyone, for listening to our episode. I'm Malini Chatterjee, Senior Solution Architect here at AWS. Been with AWS a little bit over 2.5 years now, working directly with customers, helping them building their cloud strategy. I'm a data analytics and machine learning enthusiast myself. Even before joining AWS, I was working in some of the large fintech companies, helping them architect their data strategy. And here I am, very excited to talk to all of you and share our stories. Yes, upskilling, being in tech, it's always changing. So it's definitely a lot to share and discuss more.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I would say let's directly jump into the topic because I'm pretty sure our audience would be most interested in that. The very first question that I have for you is how do you stay motivated and continuously challenge yourself to learn and master new technologies? Archana, would you like to take that question?
Hey, sure. So, first, I would like to acknowledge that this is the biggest challenge that I personally face in this role. And since I'm a generalist SA, my customers are from a varied industry, and so are their technical requirements and challenges. So, for example, the data privacy requirements for a healthcare and financial services customer would be completely different from maybe a publicly facing e commerce website, right? So also customers use different technologies. Some might use SQL databases versus others would use NoSQL databases. And thus it is like a constant learning from one use case onto another. So the first thing to help overcome this, I do mainly is keep dedicated preparation time and gather as much information as I can for a specific use case, even before getting onto a customer call. But when it comes to overall learning, I take various courses of different areas of focus, such as analytics, machine learning. And at AWS, I have like some internal training resources, as well. I also rely on some publicly available training courses. Here, I also had an opportunity to become a subject matter expert of any area of focus that I choose. And I kind of chose resiliency and analytics and machine learning. So that is another way for me to, keep up to date with my learning process, and also to, acquire new knowledge and make sure I'm up to date with the technology trends.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing that. I guess I would like to plus one onto that. Last year, I would say I went to a vacation for a month, and then as soon as I came back, everyone is talking about generative AI, and I was like, okay, I don't know anything about it. I need to, I need to understand like what it is and how what are the technologies involved in it, and how can I upskill myself. So I definitely plus one to what you said. It's a challenge, and obviously we overcome that challenge by having a continuous learning motivation. um, Deepti, since I just brought up generative AI, so why don't we dig a little bit into deeper? um, it's the latest trend now. I would assume that you would agree with that. How were you able to learn the technology?
Absolutely. I know that is has been the buzzword lately, and when I see this, it's kind of comes in two different ways. Mainly being a solutions architect, right? So one is the part where I am self-learning. The other part is working with the customers, helping them achieve right what they want to do with generative AI. So from that perspective, while as a solutions architect internally we have different tools to equip ourselves with learning resources, just like Archana was mentioning, and where we have a pool of resources where we're learning about the technology, trying it them out, doing a demo internally of how those different services work for an end-to-end solution, and that is just to self-learn. When it comes to customer engagement and how we help them with the different generative AI use cases and see that in action, we kind of facilitate few sessions with the customers so that they could perform a proof of concept, right? So sometimes customers have a specific use case in mind, sometimes they don't. So we sit with them to do brainstorming of identifying those use cases, and once we find at least one of them, we go ahead and try to help them build a proof of concept in their own environment so that they can see how all works. And that gets again, to Archana's point, we have different customers in different domains. Like one of my customer is actually doing just for weightlifting, for athletes software. Some of them are e-commerce, so they're varied and they have different use cases. So that is the thing that actually motivates, for us as solutions architect, that they are able to do so much in different fields. Yeah.
Awesome. That's really impressive.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure like we have like n number of learning platforms and different ways to learn things. Malini, what resources or learning platforms you find effective for staying up to date?
Yeah, mostly starting from, being up to date on some of the blogs. I know generative AI was one of the topic, or machine learning, or be it resiliency. Reading through the industry trends, listening to the podcasts, maybe when you are walking your dog, or, you are driving, listening to those small tidbits that can definitely help you, at least to know what's going on. And of course, Deepti, I think you mentioned about the different trainings and certifications. For me, which works really well is working backwards from setting a target about a particular certification. Say, for example, machine learning, work towards that, and there are varied resources about internal trainings available online, and feel free to start building, get your hands dirty. That's the best way I learn, by trying to do something, and then that makes me understand the concept better. And that's how you can see how you are progressing and use some of these resources for learning.
I guess I can say a little bit more on the certification side. That's what I do as well, like working backward. So if I want to do, like, I'm just making it up, like I want to do database specialty, I'll first book the exam and then I'll start studying. Then I'll find out, okay, what good courses there. But just so that I have like a goal in mind, that like by this month or by this quarter, I want to finish it or I want to achieve it. And that helps me to, like make like much more faster learning, rather than, "Oh, okay, we'll do it in the end of the year." So I think, yeah, having a set target is definitely helpful. Archana, anything that you would like to add from your experience?
Yeah, so definitely trainings and certifications, I think, is the must do pretty much to help build the knowledge. And I also agree totally on that one. Other than that, we also have a lot of AWS trainings available internally that I use quite a lot. So we have AWS Skill Builder, and it is actually publicly available. It offers 600 plus free courses, and it helps you prepare for an exam with confidence or even build practical skills in a safe, no fee sandbox environment. So I use that a lot to keep up to date with the latest trends. And one thing that I would really love to share is a story that I have as to how I chose to pursue my master's in data science. So I was working with one of my previous employers, mainly on programming side, and I was like very happy with my role, with my work. Everything was going great, and I had this opportunity to actually manage an internship program where we would go and interview interns from various universities. And there was this one situation where I went to Rutgers University. I was interning various interns. These were all fresh graduates, and the one of my favorite questions to ask them was around any project works that they did. And most of the students started talking about analytics and machine learning projects that they were building. They were building like really cool things. And for me at that point of time, I had very minimal idea as to what is analytics, what is data science. It was completely new. And that was my big aha moment when I realized that I'm working in my own bubble. I was just kind of focusing on my day to day work, but I really had no connection as to what's happening or what is the trend that is happening. And that's when I decided to pursue my master's in data science. And like the next year, I was actually enrolled into the school and I was doing my master's. And sometimes I feel one of the big learnings I had from that is that why do we have to wait for that kind of moment to realize? So that's when I started making sure that I read a lot on news updates as to what are big tech firms doing, what are the new technologies that they are launching or applications they are launching. I read a lot of updates on LinkedIn or even like the blog post that Malini mentioned. So I try to use these channels to keep myself up to date with the trend so that it doesn't happen that I'm falling behind or I'm not able to even understand what's happening in the world outside.
Yep, yep, totally makes sense. Anything from your side, Dipti, that you would like to add?
Plus one to what both Malini and Archana has said, but one additional thing that I would like to add is typically we learn at the same time we have to apply that, right? So there's this philosophy of you learn, you apply that by hands-on labs or so that you can see how it works, as Malini has mentioned earlier too, and then you also reflect on what you have learned, how much you have learned, and finally you if you share that same knowledge when you teach those, then it will be more sticky with you, and that is when it will register well with you. So that's something that I have found very useful in how I have done learned new technologies. So I'm sure it will help others too.
For sure, definitely. I guess one of the other thing that we get often asked is like, what are some of the challenges, right? Like, oh, I don't have time. Oh, it is too complex. It is like, like too much for me. Like, what are some of the challenges that you have faced, when you are trying to learn new technologies? Malini, we can start with you.
Yeah, I mean, I think you just nailed it. The first and foremost is time. So, I am a mom. I have a 9-year-old now, but it has always been do we have enough time for learning? I strongly believe that we need to start somewhere. So, uh, Archana, as you were mentioning your story, so in 2018 or so, machine learning was becoming big, and coming from the analytics space, I was very interested in it. But I could see that I needed to self learn. And my kid was a toddler then, and it was really, challenging to manage the family time, the work, and as well as find time for self learning. So finding the right people, cohort, like-minded people who are, have the learning mindset, and then together we worked out a cohort to take on a certification course. It was like working over the day and then 2 days over the week going over to Berkeley for taking some of the classes, and then submitting the assignments over the weekends, taking the tests. And it went on for, I think, 5 6 months or so. And gradually we could see that what started with one small, maybe 10-minute or 15-minute dedication to sit through, run by some of the videos, then it took to the next step, doing the assignments, then it goes to the next step, learning, how to build a project together. But that has helped, in the long run. Now if I look back, was that a good use of the time, sacrificing some of the family time away and spending it on yourself in studying and learning? Yes, that did definitely help. And I feel like if I can do it, everybody can do it. You have to start somewhere. And yeah, there is a challenges, we all know that, but a small progress can definitely take you far.
For sure. Completely agree with you. Archana, what about you?
So, like, I would definitely say time management is the main challenge, I guess. Pretty much everybody faces for sure. Anyone who doesn't is definitely an expert for sure. But then, yeah, that is one of my biggest challenge too. And all these new tech trends are exciting and tempting to get on board, but we still have a day to day job to fulfill, right? Like, we can't just take out time from our daily requirements or daily goals and then start just learning. And I'm a mother and a travel enthusiast, so weekends are not an option as I need to dedicate time for family and explore like new places. Like, that's something that keeps me going on weekends. If I'm opening up my laptop, the only thing I do is plan my next vacation or learn about new countries to visit. So I try to make sure that I'm utilizing my work hours as efficiently as possible. And one thing that helped me over experience in the last 1 year that I tried and really helped me out is to block my calendar, usually on Fridays, for learning purposes. So, again, like I started small, as Malini mentioned, start blocking like an hour time and then use that dedicatedly to focus on some learning. And then maybe you increase as you go along. So that really helped me. So I dedicate my Fridays a lot on learning, content creation, or reading through blogs.
That's amazing. Um, Deepti, anything from you?
Um, I guess that's the time management, of course, is the big one. But I guess also starting small, meaning take one thing at a time, right? I know there are so many trends that are happening, but we can get all of them at the same time. So sometimes it's also working backwards, as Natalie earlier mentioned. So if this is the new trend that we have to be, learning about so that we are upskilled, then that is the focus. Even though there are many advancements in other areas as well. So every time, yeah, tech is always changing, right? Always evolving, as we should say. So that's more about it. And also maybe setting goals, right? What we want to achieve, personally and professionally. So, yeah.
For sure, for sure. I guess, like you mentioned, setting goals, but like, I have a question. Like, how do you measure your progress that when you're trying to learn? Like for example, if I'm just starting, how will I know that I know enough, right? Malini, what are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I mean, it needs to be measured from somewhere, right? So we know we are starting from zero, but how do we measure? A very appropriate question. And what I feel, knowing that you know enough, how do you know that? So basically, forming a cohort of the like-minded people and sharing. I think, Deepthi, you touched upon it a little bit, like reflect on it, about your learnings and share. And that really helps, learn from each other. And okay, that's still, within maybe friends or within your cohort or co-workers. Even like when we work with the customers on a day-to-day basis, we are learning together. Say for example, the Gen AI technologies, it's so fast paced. It's like you learn on, maybe some new models are coming up. There, new advancements of the technology is coming up. We are learning each other, and it's okay, to set the small targets. And even if you are not an expert, so it's fine to be vulnerable and share that you are not an expert and learn from each other. And that's how, we are, in my role, what I feel is doing the best for the customer, guiding them to the right. I can share a little story which has happened in the midst of some of the Gen AI solutions provided by AWS. Uh, Customer was also learning at new, adapting the technology. We are also learning new. There were, new advanced ments or the announcements coming up in reInvent, and customer was very excited about it, trying out maybe in the next month or so. And maybe it was not providing them the desired results that they were looking for. It was That's where we in AWS, we always work backwards from what's the customer's actual need, what's their business case. And that's where I could, rely on the plethora of the resources that we have, bringing in the service specialists, bringing in the product managers, and together, learning from the customer what it's essentially trying to do. And then maybe when we were discussing together, we learned from each other and we discovered that there might be a better solution, not the solution what maybe the customer are trying. So again, learning from each other, and always, one another measure of knowing what you need to do is go and take some of the certs. I think that has worked out for me. I feel confident more to speak on that, read more about the blogs, and see if I can maybe build a small project out of it. And that's how you can measure yourself.
Yep, completely agree. I guess one thing that I would like to put emphasis on is ask. Right? Admit it that you don't know like a particular domain, and ask from others. Like, how should I go about it? How should I, learn about it? If you don't do it, then I mean, you might just invest like a lot of hours, but then if you can just hear from someone else who can, help you in this journey, that is like reducing half of the time, right? So I guess that's another important aspect. Archana, like, do you have any tips? We talked. I guess in this episode we talked about building a cohort of the like-minded people, and using them as another motivation to help in the learning journey. Any tips that you have on the networking side?
Yeah, sure. So we do work with a lot of people on a day-to-day basis, and like considering the minimal time we get outside of our jobs, having mentors and networking with peers definitely plays a vital role, especially like in my professional growth and success. It is not easy for me to keep up to date by with all the information. Trying to learn it by myself, it will be difficult for me to even complete any course or complete any specific learning process. So identifying the right people to be your mentors will definitely help a lot. Like, and how do you identify is try to find out what is the goal that you're expecting out of the mentorship. So for example, if you want to build on to your Gen AI knowledge base, right, then try to identify other peers or other people who are actually working a lot into the Gen AI domain, maybe on content creation, or maybe they are doing a lot of active programs or a lot of active blog posts or podcasts and things like that, and try to set up one-on-one cadence calls with them. Have a very precise agenda and set of questions for that call so you can get the most out of the meeting itself. And the other thing I like to do is, obviously we're talking a lot around the technology trends and trying to keep up to date, but also try to keep some mentors, identify some mentors from the leadership area or from the business domain side, because end of the day you also want to make sure that the technology learnings you have are also aligning with the wider organization wider goals, or maybe even from a business point of view, does that even make sense for you to build upon that particular technology? Because as everybody mentioned, there's a lot of trends or a lot of technologies that keep coming up, and it won't be possible for you to be a master of all of them. So like try to keep a balance of that, so you decide, pick and choose, and then invest time into those.
Awesome. That's really amazing. Thank you so much for sharing. We are almost about the end, but one important question that I would like to ask, maybe to Deepthi, any advice that you would like to give for aspiring women in the technology field who are just starting or about to adopt new technologies? Any advice from your personal experience that you would like to share?
For sure. I know it's mostly like a summarization of what we have been mentioning over this call, right? Learning, which is self learning, at the same time, practicing it, having networking, mentorship. Also, find local user group meetups. So, that's one good way to connect with people in the same domain as you are and learn from those topics. Usually, they'll have presentations or demos and things like that. So, that's a really good forum. If you have any webinars on, watch online webinars. Most of them will be online, put up pretty much publicly available. Then there's also a program called Cloud Up for Her that AWS offers, which is an 8-week self-paced learning, which will get you to either cloud practitioner certification or a solutions architect associate certification. There are two different tracks or learning pathways you can choose and build up on your knowledge. And you can always find mentors online in LinkedIn and try to connect with them so that you can, if you have any questions or clarifications, you can certainly reach out and work with them. So, yeah, these are some of the ways.
Awesome. And I guess there is one special as well. Like Malini has a podcast channel. So if you want to learn about cloud architectures, you can visit that as well. I'll share that over the chat. Malini, do you want to say a few words on that?
Oh no, thanks for bringing that up. So yeah, it's just a small opportunity that we wanted to share with people in the similar boat who are more enthusiasts on cloud journey themselves. How do you learn more about the different trends, be it Gen AI, be it cost optimization, be it building more resilient architectures in the cloud? So feel free to listen them. They are around 10 to 15-minute episodes. Love to hear your feedback from the Rethink podcast. Thank you.
Awesome.
While we wrap up, I just have one more thing to say. It's always hard, the tech role, and that you will get setbacks and challenges, but the biggest thing is to keep determined and stay resilient for that, and get going. So
For sure, definitely. I guess that's the best closing statement. Thank you so much. I guess we are at the end, so I would just like to summarize. Definitely, thank you so much for joining us and sharing your experiences, your advices. One important advice that I'm gonna take is blocking my Friday for some of the learning things. I guess that's really strategic. Thank you so much again to join our show and to our audience as well. I've shared the links that you can reach out. Some of the references that our panelists mentioned today, so you can obviously visit them. And if you have any questions, just reach out to us. You can reach out to us via email, or you can also reach out to us via LinkedIn. So Thank you so much again for joining and making this show possible. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Thank you,
Thank you.
everyone.
Thank you.